Ian White, you are one of the UK's leading estate agency consultants. What is your opinion on the issue of millennials in estate agency? Talk to me.
First of all, I think we should stop calling them millennials. I think that's just a label that's ridiculous. It refers to the age of their birth, I think. I think that's a really good label to put on people that current leaders don't know how to manage. My strong held view is millennials, whatever differences they have, perceived or real.
So we're talking to people between the ages of probably early 20s and early 30s at the moment.
Yeah, look, I hear
which
things
is
like
our negs and valuers and listers.
next valuers, managers of the future, business owners of the future, whatever they may be. I've got two sons that would fit that criteria. So,
do they eat avocado toast and beanbags and free food?
no. Did you say free food?
Yes.
They eat a lot of free food because I pay for it. Okay. But look, I don't think millennials are any less intelligent. I don't think they're any less hardworking. They are different. They are wired differently. They have grown up with different technology around them. They do have different values and principles. One of which is they're not quite as greedy, which might cause some issues. You know, I don't think greed is
because in our day, you know, we're both in our late 40s. It really was.
I'm not.
Well,
I wish I was. No,
are you early 50s now?
I am 50.
Oh, there you go. I didn't know. Happy birthday. But
Not today.
But it was decent salary, commission, and car.
Yeah.
And you put up with a crap boss, a shitty boss, because you basically got paid well and you did the hours. That was it.
Yeah, I mean, I may have been lucky. I really genuinely never had a shit boss.
Okay.
I genuinely have never had a shit boss. And I'm not just saying that because they might be listening to this. I genuinely have never had a shit boss. I've seen plenty, and I've worked with plenty, but I've never actually had one.
Did you go in at the bottom as a neg and then work up?
Yeah. Started in the industry as a negotiator. The day I left school, in fact. Literally walked down the hill, walked into an estate agency. They had a sticker in the window and I started... I think I started that afternoon. I think I went home and got my tie and started that afternoon. So the problem with millennials is not knowing how to manage them. You know, every person has a trigger, a switch that turns them into the next best estate agent on the planet, in my opinion. Of course, there are people that just don't have the right... But that's not a millennial thing. There were people in the 80s, the 90s. It doesn't matter what decade you go back to. There are people that are suitable to estate agency. And people that aren't. I think it's become slightly more customer focused. Therefore, there is a slight change in what good looks like. But I think the real issue around millennials is one, the labelling of them, and two, the management of them. The leadership of them is wrong.
What advice would you give to some baby boomer or some, you know, someone in their mid 50s who are got a bunch of 20-somethings, early 30-somethings, how would you get the best out of this age group, who I won't tag?
I think the first thing that they need to understand is that the change needs to come from them, not from this group of people, because this group of people can just get up and walk away. They can go and work for somebody else. There's no shortage of vacancies. So that doesn't mean you have to walk on eggshells to them. It doesn't mean that they're snowflakes. I think I've been heard them referred to. Of course, some of them are, and there are but there are some snowflake bosses as well. But I think it's to truly get themselves educated in the real art of leadership. Leadership is an often overlooked skill. We might train our people on how to get a higher fee, how to close a sale, how to get an offer tied up, how to register an applicant, how to book a valuation, how to do a valuation. We even get trained in the art of digital marketing and understanding how to connect with people through the material we send out. But very little money is spent on actually getting the guy at the top of the tree to understand how to get the best out of everybody else.
Can you train someone in being a leader?
I think you can get them to understand certain principles and mindsets, yes. I think leadership, nature versus nurture, yes. I mean, I believe you can nurture anybody to do anything. I think some people are naturally aspirated towards, that they've got the right generics to be a leader. But I think the younger people prefer to be led than managed. And I think that's the biggest thing I've seen. But I hear people saying, well, you can't give these younger people targets. They don't like targets. It's like, that's just rubbish. If you didn't target some young people I know, they wouldn't be able to actually function. They need to know what good looks like. In many ways, I find that they prefer a more corporate view of, well, you know, I need to know what good looks like before I set off, because I need to know whether to bother to set off.
Yes.
And obviously part of that's setting a target and setting some waypoints along the way. But I genuinely think the issue is with the leadership not understanding what makes the workforce tick, or assuming that they should think like they did. And they're just not going to.
So really, it's sitting down with your team, not asking the question, not necessarily taking the first answer, taking advice from people like yourself and other bosses, and find out what works.
Absolutely. I mean, just to look at, or maybe speak to other estate agents.
Could you make some? Have you noticed there are certain things that this age group like and don't like in terms of the way they're motivated?
I know that greed is not a massive factor where it was when I was in a estate agency. The first question I'd have asked is, how much are you going to pay me? Now, as it happens, I've only ever had 2 jobs in my life, so it's not like I was out touting myself around. But my number one requisite is, what's my reward for my effort? So I was greedy. And I think a lot of people of my age group would have put money, and my happiness was derived from earning money. I'm not saying that's right or wrong. I'm just saying I think that was an inherent thing from the 80s, 90s. Now I think it's about work-life balance. It's about working conditions. It's about having relationships with your colleagues. It's about the environment you're working in. But in amongst all of that, some of these people are capable of going out and converting 67% of what they go out to see into listings. They're capable of getting 60 to 70% of them sold. They're definitely capable of providing a better service. I think that's one advantage we do have. I think they are more service orientated. I think they understand how to simplify everything so that it's, you know, very easy to understand from the consumer's perspective. The people complicating it often are actually the owners of the business. So just let these guys fly. There's some great talent out there. Just trust them. Let them go. Work with their strengths. Don't focus on their weaknesses.
Thank you, Ian.
Thank you.